and the Panamas. A very good afternoon and welcome back to the Etihad Stadium. We are once again the Premier League champions. Today we host Chelsea, kick off its fourth year on behalf of Manchester City Football Club. Thank you in advance for your loud and loyal support today, and also thanks for your loud and loyal support for the full season. Manchester City, the Premier League and Chelsea value and respect all supporters and staff. We will not tolerate any discriminatory behaviour. Anyone found to be behaving in this manner will be banned from attending matches. If you see or hear such behaviour, please report it to Steward or the police or submit details on the Keep It Out reporting app. And let's work together to eliminate discrimination in all sports. We would also like to remind supporters that entering the pitch is strictly limited and shouldn't be entered at any time, and is the use of pyrotechnics and smoke bombs inside the stadium. Thank you for your continued cooperation. Dedicated paramedical teams operate here at the Etihad Stadium on match days, and they'll be on standby around the ground to assist in an emergency. If you or your fellow supporter are unwell, please alert your nearest steward. And now, please welcome today's Junior Citizens Experience winners. On the screen right now, having their picture taken with the Moonies. Please welcome Theo, Tilly, aged 12, on the 17th of May. Happy birthday to you.
To City Square this season. Champione! Champione!
Hello and welcome to Matchday Live. As you can see, myself and Lee Parker are here at the Etihad Stadium and the sun is out. Manchester is looking lovely. The Chelsea fans are behind me. They're just applauding as some of the coaching staff and the players head out onto the pitch this afternoon. I'm joined by Lee Parker. Lee, wonderful start to the day because Chelsea women have already bagged 3 points in the WSL.
Oh, terrific, wasn't it? I was following that on the bus up, actually. Guru Wright and Magda Eriksson, who else scored the all-important goals, the one hand on that WSL trophy once again. What an incredible achievement that would be for Emma Hayes. and the magnificent Chelsea women, and the perfect parting gift for Pernille Harder and Magda Eriksson. As you mentioned, Joe, here we are at the Etihad. We walked past the Premier League trophy, didn't we? That was a bit bittersweet as we came around the periphery of the pitch. As you can probably see, if I step out, the Chelsea players are out here as well, warming up. We have the goalkeepers over here with that in mind. Let's quickly run you through the team, shall we, that Frank Lampard has chosen for today's game here at the Etihad. 5 changes from the draw with Forest. As I mentioned, the goalkeepers here behind me. Kepa back in goal. We're expecting it to be a change in formation as well, with captain Cesar Azpilicueta coming to a back 3 alongside Thiago and Wesley Fofana. We have the Chelsea Cafu himself, Trevor Chalobah on the right, Enzo, Ruben, Lewis Hall keeping his place on the left, Conor Gallagher, Raheem Sterling back to his old stomping ground behind Kai Havertz. So it's a strong team, Joe.
Absolutely, very strong team. And when you consider as well that obviously the deed is done for Manchester City. Obviously, they won the Premier League title yesterday thanks to Nottingham Forest beating Arsenal. So today is all about sort of carnival atmosphere, celebrations. I went outside a little bit earlier on, which is pre-recorded, so we're going to have a little look at that in a bit, just seeing the sort of the atmosphere that's building around the ground, but also quite a change to the 11 that perhaps we would have seen if Arsenal would have got 3 points yesterday. No Erling Haaland in the starting 11, Jack Grealish, John Stones, Ruben Diaz, all on the bench as well. So it's never a weakened Manchester City team because they have such vast strength in depth. But without Erling Haaland, I think there'll be 1 or 2 Chelsea fans that'll be quite pleased to hear his name not in the starting 11 today.
It's a really good point, Joe, and we were talking about it off air, weren't we? It's like, how do you, if you're Man City, I know we're obviously focused on Chelsea, but if you're Man City, how do you go about this? Like you said, it's a celebration for them here today. We certainly hope that Chelsea are going to be the party poopers here this afternoon as well. But City are playing obviously without pressure now, following that Arsenal performance, if we can call it that, yesterday against Nottingham Forest. But Frank Lampard has said in the press, he said privately, I know to some of the players, let's just focus on us. Let's just focus on our behaviour, our performance. 3 games and 3 of the top 4 as well to round off this season. It's been far from ideal. He'll agree, we'll agree to that. But opportunities. There are opportunities here for players to show any incoming manager what they can do, what they can achieve prior to, let's hope, a big sort of reset in the summer and pre-season ahead of a big campaign next year.
Absolutely. And not to trot out the cliche early doors, but this is what it's about, isn't it? The Chelsea fans that have come in their droves, you can probably see up to the top 10, maybe just about. That's filling up already. Quite a lot of Chelsea fans that have made the journey today. And we kind of want to be involved in the celebrations, but for a very different reason. You kind of want to take the gloss off it a little bit, don't you? You want to be the ones that get to cheer first at full time, ultimately. And, you know, we will see something of Manchester City celebrating their title triumph today. It will sting, it will hurt from a Chelsea fan's perspective to see that and see another team do it. But also, maybe there is an element of as well, a lot of these younger players that are in the group today, and we are at the start of a project and a transition. Perhaps a little bit of the message from Frank Lampard to some of the Chelsea players today will be, look, I tell you what, learn from today because it's going to sting, it's going to hurt. But in a few years' time, you could be the ones that are giving a team a guard of honour at their home ground.
I think that's spot on, Joe, and I think it's a really important point. As I said, you can see the players right behind me. I've got prime position here. Frank's big on psychology. He's big on respect. So a guard of honour today, really important to him and to everyone here at Chelsea Football Club. They did the same thing when Leicester won the Premier League title a few years ago as well. And I think you're absolutely right, Joe. I think he and the players will look at that and say, right, this is where we want to be. This is where we could be. You know, it is a transitional, and again, pardon the cliche, it is a transitional period. Things are changing. Younger players are coming to the fore. And it's a project and it is being built. And, you know, that's the success. That's the culture that everyone here at Chelsea Football Club wants to build. And in the years to come, let's hope that that's going to be us.
Absolutely right, mate. And obviously the boys will touch on it a little bit more in depth, but a little word on a couple of the younger players that are involved today. Lewis Hall, one of his best Chelsea performances for me, was here just before Christmas in the Carabao Cup. He was absolutely sensational. We've seen a lot of Lewis Hall over the last few weeks. He did really well in a 4. You think maybe he's going to play on the left of sort of a wing-back role more than a back 4 position today? Do you think that suits him a little bit more than usually?
Yeah, good point. I mean, those of us that have seen him in the academy, have seen him playing midfield, we've seen him playing left wing-back, left back. He is versatile. It was interesting speaking to Frank about him last week, actually, after the Forest game. And he said he really likes Lewis. He just wants him to come out of himself a little bit. I've just seen him run past us, actually, just behind me. And he's got some big personalities in this group as well. There is Lewis. He's got some big personalities to learn from. People like Cesar Azpilicueta. He's going to be playing alongside Azpi, Thiago Silva. Big players that you can only learn from. And he will continue to grow in stature and in confidence as the exposure that we're seeing continues to grow.
The big thing today as well is obviously paying respect and being gracious in terms of Manchester City's trophy aspirations and the fact that they'll lift the trophy a little bit later on today. But I suppose from Chelsea as well, there's a lot to gain from today because, granted, Manchester City have been able to rest a few. They've got an FA Cup final, they've got a Champions League final. But regardless of what Manchester City team you're playing, you look at the players that are starting for City today. It's a bit of a statement of intent, isn't it? It's a bit of a statement of where you are going if you can come to the Etihad on their big day and pull out an upset.
Absolutely, and there is no pressure because you're coming to the new champions of England, and so therefore it does alleviate that pressure. But you would imagine, without putting words in anyone's mouth, well, that's what Frank Lampard will be saying. Exactly, you just said there, Joe. This is a perfect opportunity to show the fans, show the club, show the watching world, because there will be a lot of eyes on this game here today. So everybody in attendance and watching around the world, what you can do, what you can achieve, and hopefully what comes next for Chelsea in the coming season.
My favourite thing as well is when you're thinking of big players and especially Chelsea players in the past, there's usually one performance, isn't there, that sticks out in your mind. One performance where either they took it by the scruff of the neck or it was kind of like a breakout, a come-through performance. And then fans forevermore will talk about that goal, that performance, that effort, that assist, that something. Today could be that day for a lot of these players. In 3 or 4 years' time, when we're the ones lifting the Premier League trophy and Champions League finals again, you could be talking about going to the Etihad on the final day of the season, or the final day of their season, as it were, for their home games, and showing up and being that person that stood up and was counted to an extent.
Absolutely right. And you look at some of these young players that we've seen grow up throughout the Chelsea academy. We've spoken at length about Ruben Loftus-Cheek. Of course we have. Conor Gallagher, the effort, the energy, the legs that he's shown. Wesley Fofana, still so young. You look at the age of some of these players. Trevor Chalobah, Liverpool. There are a lot of young players, but there was also a lot of experience. We've not even talked about Raheem Sterling yet, have we? He's going to feel like he's going to have a point to prove. Coming back to his own stomping ground where he had so much success. 2 goals from him in a massive performance against Forest at the Bridge last week. So he's finding form. So let's hope it's going to be something special from our perspective here today.
Absolutely right, mate. As you can hear, it's starting to get a little bit louder inside the Etihad. There's a big band that are playing outside. They've had live acts, they've had celebrities come up all day. Apparently Noel Gallagher's wandering around somewhere as well. Plenty of build-up continuing from Chelsea at the Etihad this afternoon against the Premier League champions Chelsea versus Manchester City on Matchday Live.
From last weekend. Thank you so much. Come on, you Blues!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, once again, give it up for the Polham Band.
Really delighted for Raheem to get his 2 goals last weekend against Forest. At half-time, I said to the players we needed to up the levels, and sometimes as a coach you rely on, some experienced players. Raheem's history of being able to perform at that level and score goals, and it obviously really helps us. And if it helps him individually for himself to give him confidence going into this last stretch of the season, then obviously that's a big plus because he's a high-level player. And it was good to see him, especially his second goal in the game, is the quality and the clinical nature of it. I'm pleased with the fact that we've managed to score more frequently. It's something that we have to do. I mean, it's something that as a club and team that we want to be. We understand it's been a difficult season, but it also can help. It can erode confidence when you're not scoring so freely. So I think to score 5 goals in 2 games has been a good thing for us, but we do understand now we go to really tough opponents in the last 3 games, so we have to get our whole game right, and we also have to have that belief that we can score goals and really compete in these games. I was pleased with Lewis Hall last week against Forest. It's not easy for younger players to come into a team in what's difficult situations, and I know Lewis has played before in the first team a few times and played to good effect. I think he's a really, really good player. With that, every minute of experience he has in the first team will help him at this moment. So I thought he had a pretty good game. Always things that he can improve because he's a young player, but it was great experience for him, and he'll be getting more minutes at the end of the season. I think it's really important as a club that we always try and follow on from the great work that's done in the academy here at Chelsea over the years. People like Neil Bath and Jim Fraser have really run that ship, and we've seen the players that have come into the team in my first time here. We've made some Mounts and Tammy Abrahams, and even when players move on from this club, I think you always have a link because they come through at Chelsea. It's a big part of what we are, but we of course want them to stay, help the team, and when people like Lewis Hall come in, and that's a lot of time invested in the academy, they have a real connection with the club. It's a great deal for us, and you can see there are a few more of those young players in our squad that have come through the academy and have a big feeling for the club, so that's great.
City on Sunday, Frank, you spoke about indoors there, about how the possibility of City lifting the title shouldn't be on our players' minds. We have to have our own motivation going there on Sunday, don't we?
On Sunday, our motivation for City should be all about ourselves. City are obviously a great team, on the verge of winning the league title, but for us I think it should be about how the pride that we show in our performance. I expect to see that in terms of performance, and then an understanding of what it takes to win those titles. City are lifting it this year, and fair play, they've had a few great seasons in terms of their consistency levels, but also we've had that at our club in recent history. We know that in terms of being able to win leagues and Champions Leagues and trophies. So for the players, I think, to go up against that team and understand why they are so good and have their aspirations to be as good as we want to be again, and I expect to see that in the performance on Sunday.
outside the Etihad Stadium, as you can see, the festivities and the celebrations are very much underway. They've got someone on the mic interviewing some fans, all of them very, very confident about how today will go for Manchester City. Been here for a little while now, and the festivities have been going for quite a while as well. Everybody is very much involved in a party atmosphere. You can understand why, obviously, having been crowned Premier League champions yesterday, thanks to Nottingham Forest beating Arsenal. There's quite a lot going on, though. You might be able to see it, but there's over that way, which is towards where the Chelsea end will be. It's quite a lot of Chelsea fans already turning up. A little bit of sort of playful banter between the two, which is quite nice to see. That way, around the other side of the ground, they've got what they call City Square, which is a really cool entertainment facility. They've got a big stage up. They've got bands that have been playing for the last 3 or 4 hours right in front of the club shop, which has had non-stop queues all day because a new shirt has been released and everywhere. And I do have to note this because the first thing I thought when I got here a little bit earlier on today is they've been up early because Champions 3 in a row, you can see, plastered all the way around the Etihad Stadium this afternoon. So no doubt at some point yesterday, as soon as that full-time whistle went, at the City ground in Nottingham, they're all out making sure that everything is prepared for today. It's a lovely day. A lot of people in very good spirits. Obviously, from a Chelsea perspective, I hope they're not in too good of spirits when the game kicks off in not too long from now. Hopefully, Chelsea can get something this afternoon and maybe put quite a dampener on the celebrations, because no doubt they'll go on long into the night here in the sunshine in Manchester. But maybe just take off a little bit of that party atmosphere just for a little while, and then they can enjoy it again when we've gone home with 3 points this afternoon. Anyway, all the build-up continuing to Chelsea versus Manchester City on the 5th stand. Coming up next.
Yeah, thank you very much, Joe. Good afternoon to you and welcome to Etihad Stadium for this afternoon's clash between Chelsea and this season's Premier League champions, Manchester City. Alongside me for this one, a former Blues, Pat Nevin and Jason Cundy. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Afternoon, boys.
Hello.
5 changes if we're going to dive straight into the Chelsea team news from last weekend's draw with Nottingham Forest. But let's talk about the system first, Pat, and get your thoughts on how you feel Chelsea are going to be lining up here.
I do think we'll be a back three with 2 wing backs. Enzo probably sitting midfielder between Gallagher and Ruben Loftus-Cheek either side, or maybe with Sterling and Havertz up front. Maybe I'll go that way. So that looks like a 3-5-2 in some ways. But it's where the other players go. Will Ruben come forward a little bit more? Obviously, we want Connor to come up and close down a little bit as well. But you never quite know, because you can play that in a number of ways with the players that we've got out there.
Seen a number of times already this season, especially under the last manager Graham Potter, versatility in these sorts of situations, Jason, when things may not be going that way that Chelsea wanted to go during the game. You can switch between, and there are plenty of players in there who can, as Pat said, fulfil a number of different roles.
I don't think this has been as hard a season as ever before to predict, because the players we've got are so versatile. You could form that into many numbers of formations and positions that you like. And this is always the problem with Chelsea this season, because is Chalobah playing right back? And then you see Aspie in the squad, you think, well, no, he can't be, because he has to play in the back three. Then you look at Connor's position. Where's Connor going to play? Well, Connor actually might be a 10 that's high press. So it might be a 3-4-1-2. It might be a 3. So there's all of that. And that's been part, I think, of the issue that the managers have had here. A squad of players that are so versatile, can give you so much. How do you get the best out of the squad to put them into 11 to get the best out of the team? But I'm with Pat. Connor's role is going to be interesting. Connor might be the one that, because he's such high energy, he might be the one that presses high and goes and leaves Enzo and Ruben there.
I was going to talk about the two of them in midfield then, and the job that they have to do, I guess, with the craft and the guile that Enzo provides. Conor Gallagher, Ruben Loftus-Cheek, lots of energy, lots of legs in midfield. Perhaps that's why Ruben's been brought in for this one.
I tell you, there's another reason why they've been brought in. Whoever's in control next season, they want to see what they've got available, right? And for Connor and Ruben, I think these are big moments for them. Are you going to be players that are going to be starters, serious considerations for next season? Ruben, it's a massive win for him, so it's a great opportunity starting against the top side, so you can show your capabilities. The games that we've got at the end of this season, you think about it, Manchester United, Newcastle, this game here, these are the top sides, or among the top sides. You're going to learn if these lads are capable at this level and are willing to fight against the odds, because this is a hard one to get yourself up for some players, isn't it? We're not, what are we fighting for? Pride? So I think Frank will be wanting the best, we'll be wanting the best, but the new management will be sitting, whoever they are, looking and thinking, yeah, we shall see. But that's an interesting, other ways that you can look at how the actual team will line up.
Well, this is how our very own Lee Parker has interpreted that starting lineup. He's gone for Trevor right wing back. Jason?
Well, again, that just kind of underlines the point I was making, because their players are so versatile. Chalobah, I think, has done a really good job at right back. Do you know that? Under the radar, I think he's come in. Naturally, he is a centre-half by trade, but can adapt and go out there. This is another role that he's being asked to do. Yeah, I'll be interested to see if Aspie does play there. Looking at it, I would swap the pair of them. Personally, I would do that. But, having seen Chalobah play in that position as a right back and attacking, he set the goal up, of course, last time out for Sterling on that overlapping or underlapping run as it was. So, yeah, it could be anything, couldn't it? Let's be honest.
It's interesting that it's the two of those who we're deliberating over, given comments from Trevor this week saying about how closely he's been working with Aspie on that position. Aspie jokingly referring to him as Cafu for his performances at right back. Whoever's lining up there, it's going to be a huge test for them.
And you look along, we've got Aspie there and Silva, who are not the youngest, but, Chalobah, he's still a young man. I mean, Lewis Hall, the other side, is still a very young man. There's a lot of young players out there, once again. We could take any part of that team and really talk about it for a while. I mean, we do go on about it. I'm looking further up the team thinking, Kai, yeah, fine up at number 9, but it's not really where I want to see you long term. I want to see you in one of those two attacks.
Isn't that, when you look at that team there, isn't there a lot of things you go, that next season, that needs to be different? Even though the squad is huge, you look at that and it's still struggling to kind of get that jigsaw pieces in the right place.
I love the jigsaw pieces and the square pegs and square holes thing, right? Yeah. Problem is, our players are dodecahedrons. They can play about 17 different positions.
It's the problem. I was just saying, this is the problem.
Exactly what it is. And I get a feeling, you look at, and a lot of people out with Chelsea look at it and go, there's a good team in there somewhere. We've got to find out what it is. We've got to nail it, find it, stick with it for a while, and then let those players develop into those positions. And this is another chance for a couple of... And I love that comment about Cafu. That's an interesting one. So that seems to suggest that Trev will be flying up and down that line, because he's got the energy to do it, and he can fly. And it's all about then, because so many teams, you look at the great teams that are the best teams around just now. The wing backs are brilliant, aren't they? They're doing big things for them. We need our wing backs to do big things for us.
There is a man who's played wing back for Chelsea on a number of occasions. Obviously, Reece James out injured, Ben Chilwell missing as well. It means that two players who are deputising in that position, whether that is Aspie or indeed Trev on that right-hand side, then Lewis Hall. It's not their natural position. They'll play with perhaps a bit more freedom because they would be a bit more adventurous than what we would have seen before. You mentioned City there, so let's have a look at their team as well. Wholesale changes for them. In fact, just two of Guardiola's sides started here against Real Madrid, as the Spaniards elected to rest his side after securing gold last night. Haaland, De Bruyne, Grealish, Rodri, Bernardo Silva, all among the substitutes on the bench.
That bench finishes top 6, by the way, even though there's 9 of them. It's only 9, but it finishes top 6.
Well, I was going to say, is this then the opportunity to get at City? Is there, they've won the title, they'll have all of the celebrations this afternoon. Is this as good a chance as any to look at that side and go, you know what, we can go for it here?
Right, look at Akanji, top player. Walker, top player. Laporte, top player. Foden, unbelievable player. Mahrez, former player of the year. Alvarez, I mean, really, that is a good side, right?
Just before you go on there, Pat, that front three there, Foden, Alvarez and Mahrez, have scored individually at least 14 each.
Yeah, which of course beats anything we've got here. Look, we're playing against a good team today. It is not their A team that's going to play in the Champions League final, but don't ignore the fact, and I've missed one player out who may be my favourite player there, and I love Cole Palmer as a player. I think he's just an amazing player. I think he's one of those ones where I do think they think he's the De Bruyne fit when De Bruyne goes, and he's under the radar and he only plays now and again, and I got to see a lot of games around the country, and I've been to see him a lot, watch his movement and think, wow, absolute wow. And it's noticeable that he might be the number 10, not Foden there. So they're a good team, and we need to be, having said that, let's hope their bench stays in the bench.
I can actually remember chatting to you, Pat, after a Champions League game, perhaps last season, where Cole Palmer came in and he scored his first senior goal, and I caught up with you after you'd been working that game, and you said, this lad, honestly, it doesn't matter which position you put him in, he is the real deal. Why is that? What is it that you saw from him in that performance?
Do you know that game awareness that some players have that's above everyone else? You know, like De Bruyne, like David Silva, you know, Bernardo Silva now. Not that many players have got it. Gundogan's got it as well, obviously, but you know, they've got millions that have got it. But if you look around the rest of football, there's not many have got it to that level. He's got the makings of it. This lad, you know, he is a top player in the making. So he's not quite there yet, but Guardiola doesn't need to rush them, does he? He gives them. Didn't he rush Grealish, for goodness sake? Just give him plenty of time. So it's a good team. But having said that, if you're a Chelsea player, still want to have a go at them, don't you?
Yeah, it's not the side we thought we might see, but I understand why Pep's done it. He's got eyes on bigger prizes now. That one down, 2 to go. That's how they're looking at this, and you can understand it. And it's going to be. It wouldn't surprise you if these guys come on to the tail end of the game, because look, we're at a party we don't want to be. You know, it's one of those where you've been invited, you've got to go, you've got to show your face, but you know you want to get out of there as soon as you can. As soon as that full-time whistle goes, we want to get out, and that's what we've got to try. And these lads now have got to get their head around that.
Tell you what, the whole time he was saying that, he was looking at you, Pat. So I don't know which parties you've invited Jason to in the past.
Well, sadly, I've been to one of them. And we were playing here. When I was playing here at Chelsea, right? And Liverpool came down and won the league.
I saw your message. I was here as a young kid when Dalglish scored.
Kenny scored.
Yes,
and
yes.
The fact that you're at somebody else's party, it's horrible. And you kind of need to sort of grimace and go, yeah, well done. You're thinking, I want to get off here. I want out of this place because you're having your party there. It's nothing got to do with you. You just want to be there. And maybe it's me. Maybe I have a nasty bit in my character somewhere. Don't know if I want to spoil it. You really want to spoil it, and I bet we do.
Well, Pat, when you look at that team, you've just highlighted the players they've got, and there are some incredible players in there. But you look at this team, we've got to give them a game. Let's keep them honest. But honestly, there's going to be a procession. The title's over. What I think could have been worse if Arsenal won yesterday, or maybe they picked up more points and they still needed 3 points here, Man City, to get over the line, then we'd have seen a very different team. We all know that. But come on, guys, let's be honest. And Pat made a point earlier in the conversation. Poch is watching. Do your job, because you want to be here next season. Do your job. He's watching games like this. We've got the next 3 games all in the top 3. City, United, Newcastle, all in the top 3. We'll show how much these boys have got under the bonnet, in their heart, to play for this club. There's a lot to be said about what these players got to offer next season, so bear that in mind.
One other thing on top of that, I was at Nottingham Forest yesterday, playing against Arsenal. What a difference effort makes. Forest were the better team. They didn't have a lot of the ball, but all the way through it, I'm thinking, you care, you want this. You absolutely desperate for this. Forest aren't as good a team as Arsenal. But I'll tell you what, from the moment the goal was scored, I thought, Arsenal, you ain't winning this. You ain't getting back because you're not fighting enough. If we go out with the attitude of, right, we're going to fight, we will absolutely fight this, chase this. I'm not sure City will to the same level. They've got other things in their mind.
Well, that's the views then of Jason Cundy and Pat Nevin. But let's find out where you are watching this afternoon's game from with the Wherever You Go wall. Brought to you, of course, by Trivago. Victor, they're celebrating, hopefully, a good performance at the end of this afternoon's game. And that boy Meek as well, all the way from Nigeria. And then there's more African representation there as well, all the way from Kenya. So let's just hope that the boys can do the business this afternoon.
A bit of politics from Antonio there, I thought, but we got all fans from everywhere, don't we?
Well, that's all from us for now, but we'll be right back for full live coverage of this afternoon's game. For now, let's head over and see what happened at the Women's FA Cup final.
reached that point where selling out Wembley is no longer just a pipe dream. As a women's football fan, it means everything. This is the new norm.
James, who's got to head to that, awkward for Havertz. Here's Harder, and Kerr's in the middle. Can Kerr get there? Of course she can. A three-peat in the FA Cup for Chelsea. They've won it for the third year in a row. Sam Kerr, the match winner again.
Well, welcome back then to Etihad Stadium on a sunny Sunday afternoon in the northwest. It's no surprise that there is an electric atmosphere in Manchester today. After all, Pep Guardiola's side didn't even need to play this weekend to get their hands on the Premier League trophy, despite being 8 points adrift at the start of April. The citizens were able to sit back, relax and celebrate in their team hotel though, as second place Arsenal lost 1-0 at Nottingham Forest last night. That secured a third consecutive league title and a fifth in 6 seasons for the likes of Guardiola, Ederson, Stones and De Bruyne. There is, of course, still